in Maya, you go up here and press new scene, it will create a new scene. If you open a scene, it will open a window and look under your root folder first for any MB or MA file that you want to load. On import, you select the file and you configure its import features here on the right, and you just import. If you can't import something from the list, you go to Windows, Preferences, Plugin Manager, and this little window will pop up, and you might want to enable the plugin that will import the file you're looking for example, FBX. For exporting, you can click Export All, or by pressing this button, you can configure whatever you want to export, or you select something in the scene and click Export Selection. And this window will pop up, and you can configure the file's export settings for whatever you want to include, especially under geometry regarding smoothing groups, tangents, and binormals, and so on. You select the format here down at the bottom, just like Windows. Same goes for Macs. So in Macs, you import via this import button, but there are a lot of imports in Macs. So if you want to basic import, just bring something in like this. Same thing applies just as any file you've ever seen. After you clicked something, Max has this nice feature where this import window appears, and you actually select everything from within the file. So in this case, I have this anatomy figure, and there's only one mesh. But if there would be more, you would select them if you want to import it or not. Or if you want to import everything as a single mesh, or if you want to import it as an editable poly by default, because normally it creates this editable mesh, which is not the same. You can also control the axes and everything else that you import from within this file. And if you know that the file has come from some specific software, you can try these settings if it doesn't work at the start. So after you click import, it will put it in the middle of the scene and it's imported. There is also merge for merging other 3ds Max files. This is just for importing other Max files. And there's also replace, which, as it says, replaces objects in the current Max scene with objects from an external file. When exporting in Max, you go to export, and if you click on export simple, it exports everything from the scene, and you also have export selected as expected. When exporting, you choose the format first. I'll just make a test to introduce its window that will appear. So I click save, and after you click save, there will be this settings window where you can configure your settings just as in Maya or any other software that you would. And after you click OK, you can export it. You can also choose, which is sometimes important in case of FBX, the year of the FBX plugin. 2014 is really a failsafe, especially for Blender, for example. You can also save your export settings up here for user defined with edit or save preset. In Blender, when you go up to file, you can import by selecting your format first and then clicking, for example, OBJ, finding your file for whichever you searched for, and then here you have some import settings, but you cannot choose the files before or anything like in Max, and it just imports it. And if I press FBX, for example, then I will have import settings on the right here as previously for the OBJ format. So anything you want, you just have to find, and then applying these settings, export it, and it will pop into world 0. Okay, and then on export, you do the same. You choose the format first, and you have your export settings on the right here. And after you configure this, you just insert the file name and just export your file. On the left here, Blender has a nice feature where you can choose a folder and create a bookmark for it, or you have recent folders. You can also save your presets up here. You have the merge feature from Max in Blender with the equivalent called Append. So you append or merge another blend file while pressing this button and choosing any blend file, and after you've chosen your blend file, you can choose whatever you want to import from inside that blend file. So for example, here I have some custom brushes that I made, and I can select them and append them to my file. And if I go to sculpt mode, I can click on here and search for my brushes and they will appear. In Maya, you don't have a merge feature like in Max. You just basically import any Maya file and it's the same. There is also a thing called references, right? And in Maya, you import them by creating a reference and choosing your file. In Max is the same, but you have to use this references XF objects menu where you create a record like this. And in Blender, the same thing is called simply link. So you just select anything as you would do in Append from another file, and the moment you modify it in that file, it will update in your current file where you linked it to.